Hey there, happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining me here tonight, everyone. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make lovely and quirky hand embroidery kits. And I'm here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. That's 9:30 Eastern and 6:30 Pacific. And it's a time where we can relax and craft for about an hour here. And I work on projects from beginning to end, all the way through all the parts so you can see the whole process. Ask your questions and join me along the way. So tonight we are continuing on the Splendid Sampler 2 quilt along. My sewing machine is in the shop for a bit, so we are working on the embroidery blocks. We are starting the Let's Go Sew block by Pat Sloan. We started it last night, actually. We got it all transferred. We traced the design here, and we started stitching. We're doing a stem stitch for pretty much everything here. So that is the plan. We got our little orange little leaves started there. We picked colors. And today is just going to be a whole stitcheroo. Oh, I'm such a teaser with cute new designs. Yes, so I am deep right now into designing new things that will be some of our new embroidery kits coming up here. So, oh, Gretchen, you're gonna have a dedicated wall. I know, Mark, I should use that steampunk sewing machine. So I do have a couple other machines, sewing machines. So we'll see. We'll do this this embroidery, and I think there's maybe one more that we can get started on. But after that, we are going to need a sewing machine. The only trick is I have to take it out of the cabinet, so it has special screws and all that, but you know, that's not the end of the world. So maybe we could do that. I can get that out and we can play around with that machine because I really haven't used it for a project yet. So yeah, that might be fun. So all right, we'll do this embroidery first, and then we'll look into that. You know, yeah, I should. I actually I have one more machine that I've never touched. I don't even know if it works. So I got that steampunk. It's a Kenmore sewing machine, but it's black and it's got cool angles and stuff to it. So I call it my steampunk sewing machine. But I liked the cabinet that a different sewing machine, this was all at like this giant fabric garage sale. But I like the cabinet that a different Kenmore sewing machine was in, but they wouldn't sell me just the cabinet. I had to buy the sewing machine too for like $10 or something. I got the cabinet and this 1960s Kenmore. The steampunk one, I believe, is from the 1940s. Mine that I use every night here is from the 1970s. So we got like a whole range going there. So the 1960s one, I haven't even tried yet. So we might have to play with that too. But yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll unscrew it and we'll get it out here. That's a good idea. All right, you talked me into it. Yep, it's time to play around with that machine. All right, but right now, let's get stitching. We'll do some embroidery tonight. We'll for sure at least finish this before getting that sewing machine out. But that would be fun. Now I want to do it. All right, I am going to flip you guys around and we'll get started here. All right. So, oh gosh, we didn't do this guy yet either. Here's that octopus one. I can't believe my mom is completely done with this whole quilt already. I gotta do so many of them. But all right, here is my sew. We started these stem stitches. I totally forgot how to do stem stitch last night, so we looked it up in the back, and then it jogged my memory. I don't use it very often. I think it's like a more organic kind of. It moves a little bit, like, you know, you can kind of see it's kind of coming inward a little bit. I can even push it a little more inward. You know, ideally I'd want it to kind of stay towards the edges. Maybe I just need to make my stitches smaller. They're like that. To me, that's how it should look. But it always kind of wants to keep going in. For this next one, maybe we'll try making the stitches a little bit smaller. But I think that's why I don't use it all that often. First of all, it took me a while to learn how to do it because I usually do the stabbing method of embroidery where you stick the needle in and then you pull it all the way and then you stick the needle back out and pull it all the way all the way to the back and then all the way back to the front. That sounded weird, but if that makes sense, versus the sewing method where you just go in and out and then pull the thread through. This works best with the sewing method, and since that's not the way I usually did things, it just seemed really difficult. But then when I realized, oh, this works better with the sewing method, then it all kind of came together. All right. I cut my fabric a little small. Usually I like much more of a border around here. And actually we don't really need the hoop for this embroidery either. I was saying last night that I think the reason that a lot of the embroidery in the book is stem stitch. Like whenever there's a straight line, it doesn't seem like the designer is ever using a back stitch. It always seems like they're using a stem stitch. And I think that might be because it's easy to do without a hoop, because you can use that sewing method. So maybe we'll use the hoop to finish this guy up, and maybe the next one we'll try, the next like leafy bit, we'll try without a hoop and see how that goes. All right, we're using 2 strands of floss. I already used 2 last night, so let's pull 2 more out of here. I'm gonna grab the strands one at a time. Oh, Bonnie, you only have 10 to 15 more to make. That's pretty awesome. You still have 60 to go. Barbara, I think we're kind of in the same boat. The silver lining is I do have some of it quilted, right? Because I'm doing quilt as you go. I think that's going to be just like a huge, exciting thing that I won't have to put a whole quilt together when I'm done, because I'm kind of doing it along the way. So that's been a fun new process for me. All right, so last night I started with an away knot where I tied a knot and I went far away where I was stitching. So once I snipped the knot off, I'd have like a long thread to tuck in at the end. Now that we have some stitches, I don't have to do that. I can just weave into the backs of my stitches here. So, and I'm doing this because I don't especially like having knots on the back of my embroidery. And it's not because I'm totally crazy and can't deal with knots. It's because knots actually just kind of get in my way. So I don't know if you guys have ever had, if you just tie a knot on the back, on your thread and then start stitching, then later, after you've been stitching a while, then you realize that, like, if I had a knot right here, that this whole thing could have gotten caught on that knot and I could keep stitching, and then all of a sudden I have this giant loop on the back that I didn't know about because it got caught on a knot. This prevents that. And also when you have a knot, you have that little tiny end of the knot, right? With the little frayed edges. That, if you stitch near those, they always want to pull to the front, those little frayed edges, and I just find that super annoying. So just by weaving in the ends, I weave back and forth 3 times. I'm just weaving it into the backs of the stitches. This is super secure. If you do it the 3 times, it's super secure. And then it's so smooth and everything too. I have no knots that are getting in my way, so I just prefer it. I do it whenever I can. All right, let's do, yeah, my tone says that I've done that before. I've done that tons of times, getting, it's just the worst when you have that knot on the back that it catches too. That's actually one of the reasons. So if you've been with me here before embroidering, I like having my left hand always touching what's going on in the back. So even when I pull my thread through like this, I'm pulling through with my right hand, I'm touching the spot where the thread goes through. So these fingers can feel it. And if something weird pops up, like if I feel a knot or it feels like there's more thread back there or something, it's kind of like a notification that something's wrong. So I can check. So I always have that hand touching the backs of my stitches here. And since I started doing that as well, I've had a lot less trouble with things getting in the way on the back. But that took a while to learn. All right, I'm gonna try and do slightly smaller stitches here. That's kind of hard to do though, because once you get in the rhythm of what your used to doing for stitch length, it feels weird to do them different sizes. Yeah, I feel you, Robin. And then, you know, every time I open up one of these pages in the book for a new thing, like, I'm reminded of all the ones that I don't have done, like this octopus, for example. I thought, you know, I knew I hadn't done that one yet, but, you know, does every page I have to open that I've only done one on that page, not both? Soon that tide will turn, I suppose. Ugh, yeah, it feels weird to me doing my stitches smaller, but I think that will help it hold its shape. I'm gonna try and cruise through this stitching tonight. I have a feeling my stitches will start out small, but as we go on through the night, they'll get bigger and bigger. At least with the around these small shapes, I'll try and do some smaller stitches. But I do this generally when I stitch. When I have like a straightaway like this is just kind of a very gradual curve that I will. Ooh, I gotta crack my finger. Sorry. Ooh, weird. Sometimes I'll do bigger stitches on things like that. Ooh, here, this is a little trick that I'm gonna do right now for stem stitching. So I'm gonna end my stitch right here, right? So I'm gonna end my stitch by putting my needle in here and pulling through. However, if I'm gonna do this, I need to start my next stitch in that same spot, right? But if I come back up through that spot, this is gonna come out, right? So I need a way to come up in this same spot to start my next row, but not have my needle, you know, pop the thread back out right away. So what you do is you finish your stitch like I did there, and then you go to the back, and then you just loop it around one of your stitches like that. And then you can come back up through that same stitch. Or through that same hole there. There, and it's being caught on the back by that other stitch. All right, so now we can start the next little row here. So again, yeah, these stitches I'll do probably a little bit bigger here. Yeah, so Shirley, you can do that on corners too. I think corners with stem stitch, sometimes it's hard to turn a corner, and you can do it that way as well. So I was embroidering all day again today, working on some new designs. I'm kind of doing all my new designs in one kind of big batch. I'm hoping to not do it like that from now on. I want to do more designs throughout the year, but this particular time I'm doing them all at once. So it's like a marathon embroidery session for me today, and so that's why it's just so funny for me to do stem stitch, because I rarely use it in my own designs. I should do a design on purpose to use more stem stitch. I think that'd be nice. Oh yes, I brought my sewing machine. You know, yeah, so I oiled my machine and all that, but you know what? Those feed dogs, I have not been able to lower, you know, like for free motion quilting and all that, for like ever and ever. And since I had to go to the sewing machine guy anyway, because we had to pick up our vacuum cleaner, so it's the same guy as our vacuum cleaner guy, and that was broken, so we had to bring that in. But I'm like, yeah, we'll bring the sewing machine over and see what he has to say. Might as well. So he is going to try heating it up, that area. So he'll probably have like a little heat gun and blow on there. But it's probably just some grease or goo or something. Something is holding it locked up. And I didn't want to deal with that. I thought maybe I'd let him, you know, if he can fix it by doing that, then maybe next time I'll give that a try too. All right, we're done with this, so I'm going to weave in the ends. So yep, so it's in the shop, so we can try heating up the mechanism, seeing if that helps loosen it up. And then it probably just needs to be like that area, just, I don't know, re-greased or re-oiled, or I'm not quite sure. I haven't done that sort of thing yet, like adding goo and grease to my machine ever. So we'll see what he can do, and then I'll try and do it for myself next time. But yeah, so his cue was like, he's like, it could take 3 to 4 weeks, or like 4 to 5 weeks or something, which I thought was kind of a lot, but whatever. That's why we're doing some embroidery, but you know, we need to do this anyway. All right, so let's just compare this quick. I did do these with like the stitches about half the size, and look how much better it looks. I mean, these I can push out and it will look like that. Like if I push them kind of outward. But these, you know, even if I push these inward, it's still better than these ones. So I will definitely go smaller on the rest of them. I'm not gonna undo any of these, but yeah, we'll keep them small. Keep those stem stitches teeny. It looks good though. All right, let's move on. All right. Yeah, it's looking cute. Oh yeah, so here are the colors that I'm going with. If you guys didn't see last night, we're gonna just kind of keep it like a monochrome almost background here. So there's 3 colors. So here's the original design. So she has green, red, and blue. I'm gonna do where the green is, I'm using this kind of coral color. So all of these leafy bits and like, what else? Oh, that's it. So just the leaves and like these little stems are gonna be the coral. Then all these little baby dots and these flowers, those are gonna be this kind of orangey yellow, and then I do have this green, and I'm going to use that for the word so. So it's going to be kind of like a monotone or monochrome, that's a better way of saying it, a monochrome border with this pretty green that I think kind of complements these colors on the inside. So that is the plan. All right, boop. Do I have enough thread on here for anything? I think I'm going to start a new piece of thread. This isn't all that long, and you know I'm going to need more for this next bit. So I'm going to try. We'll try it without the hoop for this next bit. Oh, coral is the Pantone color of the year. Oh, that's awesome. This has been like one of my long-term favorite colors. Like just a little pinky orange. And I don't know. Usually, I don't think the colors stick with me that much, but this particular color has stuck with me. And I did get out, look, I got our little mascot out again. This is a fresh one, so a fresh, juicy cone of that coral. So this is, I think, what does this say? This is a 2,100 meters of embroidery floss goodies right there. So on a cone. So I will stick that out behind us again. He can hang out with us here, Mr. Orange Cone. And once I finish my last little bit here, we can start pulling our new thread. This is still from last night, but we can start taking our new stuff off the cone. So that's what a full cone looks like. I just took it out of the plastic. I haven't used any. When do I plan to do the French note? Is that the one with those music notes on? In theory, probably pretty soon, because I would like to do, so here's the other one that I can do now without a sewing machine, except for the border, but the inside I can do. The note has embroidery. Let's see if I can find it. But I have to do a pile of stitching first, a pile of sewing. And I think it's up further this way, maybe. Where are you? I know you're in here. There's only a couple other embroidery ones. I suppose I could look at the, oh, there we go. Oh no, that's quilting music. Oh, I don't know which one oh, French knot. Oh, what colors, sorry, what colors am I doing the French knot? Is that what the question was? I'm not quite sure. I will be doing them this orangey color. This yellow-orange color. Okay, I'm gonna get you down here. Oh, I know, isn't that spool of thread just awesome? Oh, I talked about this once, that maybe I'll put like a couple colors of those together as cones and maybe do a little sale in my newsletter or something for them. That's a good idea. I could do that. It would be like a pre-order thing, so I'd see what you guys, I would lay out some colors, and then you guys could just like basically tell me which ones you want, and then I would place an order for I think she asked, when am I doing the French knot? Oh, so I typically do my French knots at the end. Just because, first of all, I like having like other backs of the stitches to weave in my ends. When you just do a French knot, there's not really much, there's nothing to really weave back and forth. So I do like having some other stitches. And the other reason why I typically, if I can, I don't always, but if it makes sense, I will leave the French knots until the end, because same reason why I don't like knots on the back. On the front, I can be stitching and all of a sudden get my thread caught on a French knot. And that I don't know, for some reason I'm extra annoyed by that. Abnormally annoyed. So I don't know. So I typically leave those to the end. You know what? I think I'm not going to do this color next. Let's do something. I don't usually do this, but since I'm going to be stitching, I'm going to try stitching without a hoop, and I want to weave in the ends, like I just said. I think I'm going to just go to the next shape here. Let's do that. So I'm just going to keep going around this way. And in that case, maybe I will do the French knots right now. So I just changed my tactic now. So I was going to do all my orange, this orange color, I was going to do all that first. But I think instead, I'm going to just keep moving around. I'll probably still do the sew at the end, but that will be helpful too because I just have this small hoop, so I can just keep going around. So I'm going to keep switching colors along the way, I think. And I think I will do the French knots as I go, which again is not, I don't always do it that way, but I think it kind of makes sense now. So I will actually start with this French knot right here, and then I'll jump up, do these two, stitch that, do those French knots, and then we'll be moving on to a different color. So I think I will do it right now. So I'm going to cut, about my 20 inches or so again here. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. So maybe I'll even do that soon. So I'll find, well, let me know. So you guys have seen kind of what colors I have available. Actually, you know what? I have some floss here. Maybe tomorrow, well, I don't know, maybe tonight even, I will show you a bunch of colors of the cones that I have. Some of them are almost gone. I'm trying to use up some, but if there's a color that you would absolutely want, let me know, because maybe I'll pull out like maybe 5 or 6 colors that it seems like you guys are kind of interested in for cones. And then I'll put those cones in a newsletter and make like a little listing, a pre-order for them. And then then you can pick like which colors you want. I mean, you don't have to get all of them or whatever. They are DMC, it is DMC floss. But yeah, so then if you're interested, I'll place an order for some. I actually probably have to place an order for more for myself soon anyway, so timing would be good. So, all right, we're gonna do that. So towards the end here, what time is it now? Okay, in about 15 minutes or so, maybe once we finish this thread, which will take, I don't know, maybe it'll take 15 minutes. I'm not sure how long it'll take me, but I will get some of those cones out there actually right next to me. And if there's any colors you're interested in. Nope, Bonnie, it is all 6-strand embroidery floss. So it is exactly the same kind that you would get if you're buying DMC floss from Joann's or anywhere. It's the same. This used to be a skein. I took the papers off, but it's the exact same stuff as this. But a skein. So a skein like this. What you typically get from the store. I wonder, actually, do I have one with the papers on? So just in case you guys don't know what I'm talking about. Not in my scrap bin. And not near me. But anyway, so if you guys are familiar with embroidery floss skeins, they look like this, and then they have those two little papers on, holding the skein together. This is 8 meters. So to give you a sense. So this is 8 meters. This is 2,100 meters. So that's the difference between your normal skein and the cone. So you get a pile more. Oh, I am using 2 strands, but the thread comes as 6 strands. So I'm splitting the 6-strand embroidery floss into 2 strands. Just because that's what the instructions say to do. When I'm stitching myself, I typically do 3 strands. And, that's just deciding the number of strands. You're basically deciding how fat you want your lines. So if you use 6 strands, that stitch is going to be thicker than if you use like 1 strand, right? All right, let's try and do these French knots. I'm going to do this one down here first. So I'm going to come up on the one side. I don't ever go right in the middle. I kind of come up on one side of my dot. Oh yeah, Bonnie, I'm using 2 strands just because that's what the instructions call for. So I thought I would. Oh, this is going to be pretty, these 2 colors. I use these 2 colors together a lot, but it's always fun. All right, so now I'm holding my thread up from the fabric, and then I'm pointing the needle away from the fabric. I'm going to wind that around twice. Then I'm going to hold those loops, and then I'm going to point the needle towards the fabric. So I was pointed away. That's important. And now I'm pointed towards. And I'm going to stick it in not the same hole. I'm going to go a little bit away. So I start on one side of the dot, and I end up on the other side of the dot. So I'm going to put the needle in about, a little ½ inch or so. Then I'm going to take my fingers off. I like doing it on a flat surface. Then I'm going to pull those threads so that those loops are right up against the fabric and the needle. And then I'm going to hold it there with my thumb. So I don't want those loops to get loose. So I'm going to hold them there to hold them in place until my thread is all the way through. And there you go. So there is my first French knot. I do think those are a little bit easier in the hoop, but oh well, we're gonna try without the hoop for a little. All right, so this is my next French knot, and then here, this is kind of a big leap, so I'm gonna tuck it, I'm gonna weave through the back of these stitches to get up there. So I need to get up here. This is funny that I can see through this fabric. So I'm gonna just kind of grab the backs of some stitches, just so I don't have that big jump. Or toe catchers. That's what we call it. Oh, do I have 3 strands here? Oh my gosh, you're right. I do have 3 strands. Ah, that's what you're talking about, Bonnie. Yep, I am doing 3 strands apparently. So maybe we'll do 2 strands of this pale or this coral orange, and we'll do 3 strands of this for the rest, or I could just cut it right now. Whatever, I don't want to cut it. We're doing 3 strands, but you're right. See, that's what I'm saying. I've been stitching all day long with the 3 strands, so me just getting a new New floss ready. I wasn't even thinking. I did the 3 strands right away. Even though I had 2 strands in my brain, my body did 3 strands. Oh well. Yep, I guess I'm doing 3 strands. But for this, I did 2 strands. All right, so again, I did a little video once of the 3 things you might be doing wrong with your French knots and why, and those might be the reasons why you aren't liking French knots or don't do them correctly. Here's the first thing you might be doing wrong. So check these things as you're doing your French knots. The first thing you might be doing wrong is instead of pointing your needle away from the fabric to start wrapping, you're pointing towards. So if you're like this and you wrap it around twice, but you've been pointing your needle towards the fabric this whole time, when you pull that through, you're not going to have a knot at all. You're just going to have like a tiny little stitch. We could actually, well, yeah, I'm not going to show you all those errors. I'll do that a different time. But yeah, so that's number 1. If you are pointing towards the fabric, you're not going to end up with a knot. You're going to end up with just a little stitch. So that's the first thing. Check to see if you've been doing that. You should be pointing away from the fabric. So your thread's making this kind of like loop, this circle. So check that first. That's error number 1. So, all right, I'm pointed away. I'm gonna wrap around twice. Okay, then I'm gonna hold those threads there with my finger. Okay, now I'm gonna point towards. So I was pointing away, right? And now I'm gonna point towards. So here's the second error. The second error is going back into the same hole. So if I go back into this exact same hole, I risk pulling my knot all the way through the fabric to the back. So you don't want to go through the hole. You're going to make a big hole in your fabric there, and the hole might be big enough to pull your entire knot through. So that's no good. So I always go a few threads up. That's why I start on one side of the dot and end up on the other, just as a reminder to don't go in the same hole. So that is error number 2. So check to see if you're doing that. Okay, and then this is the third error. Okay, you might still be like pulling these nicely to your, pulling your loops to your fabric and to the base of your fabric there and your needle there. But this is the third thing. So I always hold the loops like here with my thumb. If you don't, those loops have a chance of escaping, and then you end up, I don't really want to do it, but you know, you end up sometimes, yeah, I'm going to hold them still. You end up with one of those crazy French knots that might look like just a giant loop like this, or it might just be a mess. That happens because your knots got away from you. They got loose. So if you hold them there with your thumb, and I'm not like pressing hard or anything, I'm just making sure that they're not moving around. That is the third thing. So if you're just pulling on your thread and you're letting it do its own thing as you pull the thread through, you're going to probably end up with some messy knots. Versus if you hold it there with your thumb. So I'll do the next one. But those are the 3 things. So if you're doing any of those 3 things, then change change that to the other way we've been doing it here. So all right, I'm coming up from the one side of that dot. Again, this is much easier with a hoop too, so I recommend doing these French knots with a hoop. So I'm pointing away from the fabric. So away from the fabric, I'm going to make my 2 loops like that. Then I'm going to put my finger there. Now I'm pointing towards the fabric. I'm going to go in the other side of that dot, not the same hole. There we go. So I'm just in a little bit there. And now I'm gonna lift my fingers up and then I'm gonna pull my thread so those loops are right against the fabric. And then I'm gonna hold them with my thumb. And then I'm gonna just slowly bring my thread through. There you go, got a sweet little knot there. Oh, Jane, you've been doing all 3 mistakes. Okay, give this a try and let me know if it worked for you. Yes, so there. Those are the 3 things you may be doing wrong, and you'll get some not so pleasant results with all 3 of those. But yeah, so all right, you guys, there are our first 3 French knots. I'm going to, let's start this little flower here. So this is going to be stem stitch again. I think I'll start at one of these points. I'll start like right here. But yeah, once I figured that out, there was a few of those that I did, for sure 2 of those. And once I figured out, oh, that's what I'm doing wrong, it like I had a totally different perspective about French knots. Now I kind of really like them. All right, we are attempting to do this stem stitch without the hoop now. And I also have the three strands, not the 2, on accident. So these are going to be really thick, thick flowers. So I was just thinking maybe one of the other reasons that they're doing 2 strands for the most part in this book is that sometimes quilting weight fabric, it's not always the easiest thing for embroidery because it's pretty tightly woven, and it's sometimes hard to pull a needle through and pull thread through if the needle and thread are too thick, because it is so tightly woven. So maybe that's why they're doing just the 2 strands. Oh, but 2 strands is pretty common. I'm just so used to using 3. But here's the difference in thickness. It's not so noticeable, but here's with the 2 strands and here's with the 3. It just looks a little heftier, which is kind of cute. I'm okay with that. I'm gonna do the French knots in here the same color as this orange, or this whatever you'd call this like yellow orange, this yellow gold orange. Just because that's how they do it in the instructions. It's all kind of the same color for that. So I think we're gonna do that too. All right, so here's one of those things where I need to start in this same hole again. So I'm gonna end up at this corner. I could do one more half stitch. That's really how to end a row, and nah, never mind. I'm not gonna, but I need to come up. So now I'm gonna start this loop here, and I need to come up through this hole again, and I can't do that because I just ended my stitch there. So I'm gonna go to the back. I'm gonna go around that last loop again there. There we go, and now I can come up through that hole again. Oh, you like the 3 strands? So I think now that I've done the 3 strands, I feel like I need to be locked into it. So I think all of these leaves I will do this coral. I'll do the 2 strands, and I think all those French knots and the flowers I'll do the 3 strands, just because, you know, I don't want it to feel like lopsided or something. I don't know if that's what it'll look like, but we've made a commitment now. How does the no hoop feel? I never really like stitching without the hoop, honestly. Like I feel, you know, if you're used to it, then I'm sure it just feels like second nature. But, and you know, really with this sewing method, with the stem stitch going in and out, there is a benefit to it because, you know, having it loose like that, it is easier to go in and out, you know, like in and out in the same motion. That is easier. But I just find like the hoop you're able to hold on to everything better. Like I feel like without a hoop, I'm making a hoop with my fingers. Like see, I'm holding the fabric taut in the little area that I'm stitching. But first of all, that's kind of aggressive on my hand because it's a, you know, position that I'm holding for a long time. And I'm losing one of my favorite things to do, which is feeling the back of the stitches. Like I can't have my hand here to feel the back of the stitches if I'm using it to like make a hoop. Maybe I should just try and not make a hoop. Maybe I'll just leave my hand here. Maybe that's the trick. Not try and make a hoop. That might have solved it right there. Just hold the actual stitch. Okay. I may have solved no hoop embroidery just now. Yeah, you know what? That feels better. Now I am touching both sides. I'm not even attempting to make a hoop-like feel. All right, well, we'll try that. Let's get comfortable with that in my hand. I haven't done that before. Man, maybe no hoop stitching will be my thing soon. But yeah, so with the sewing mesh method, that in and out, that really is easier with a looser fabric. So no hoop. Right, here's the end of this one. So I don't know, we'll practice. It's kind of like needle turn applique. That felt super uncomfortable until I did it for a long time and learned some tricks. So maybe that's a trick. Maybe I shouldn't be trying to hold it open like this. I should just feel where I'm stitching and hold it there while I'm stitching. I think that's good. All right, I've reached another corner, so I have to go through the back of a stitch again. And now we'll start the next little bit. I actually don't think I'll finish this flower. Getting a little low on thread. And I do want to show you guys that floss. Or maybe I'll just do that in a newsletter. Because I don't really have a great representation of the floss right now. But I will be at the office. I will be at the office tomorrow, or the warehouse. So that's where I have all my floss cones. I'll take some photos there maybe and bring some of the bigger ones home. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, thank God our brains can always learn new things. I hear you, Jane. That is actually like one of my favorite things of crafting. I feel like with every new little thing you learn, it's like a new superpower. I do. I totally feel that way. It's like another little magic trick that you have. Right, I went around the back of that stitch again because I'm going to start up the next thing. Oh, I might have just enough thread for this. Oh, I think I'm going to be short, actually. I have those poor little French knots in the middle there, too, that need to happen. That's always the worst. When you, because this is all that's left for this color in this area, then it doesn't pop up again until over here. So that'd be a bummer to have to start a new thing of floss, but I think I'm gonna have to. So this is feeling better, just holding my stitches, and I have that feel that I like too, where I can feel all parts of the stitch, the back and the front, between my fingers all at once. That helps me know if there's an error, like I can feel if something gets tied in a knot or something. On the back, just by feeling it. It is a little awkward for me still versus sewing in the hoop, just because I don't do well with this pinching motion. Like this pinching motion hurts my hand right here a lot of times. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm wild about that. That's kind of why I'm not super wild about English paper piecing either, because I feel like I have to make that same motion. I might have just done that wrong. What did I just do? I made like one extra stitch. Oh well. I came up to start my next row, I think, and then I didn't do that. Or I don't know what I did. Anyway, got yammering. Yeah, I'm not going to have enough thread because the French knots take a little bit of floss, and the stem stitch does take quite a bit of floss too. I could do the flower a different center. I'm kind of trying to go a little bit by the pattern. I do kind of like how they were all the same color in the pattern. So I think I'm going to keep them this orangey yellow color. Oh, maybe I can just force enough floss out of this. Oh, let's just see. Can I get these French knots? The problem is I gotta tuck in the ends still. Oh, let's try. So here's my last stitch on the flower. Let's see if I have enough for these three little guys. Ugh, I hate doing French knots with hardly any floss though, so we'll, oh my God, let's see. Because you have to make this loop, and that loop gets hard to do when you don't have any floss on your needle yet. Let's see if I can manage. All right, there's one. I think we might be able to get them all, just barely. I know, cutting it super close. I don't like it. Because I have to weave in the ends yet too. This thread's getting a little twisty too. Oh, it's cute. Yep, one more, we're gonna make it. Jennifer, I'm using 3 strands of floss by accident. The instructions say 2 strands, but I was already stitching when I realized that I had 3. But actually, this orange, I only did 2 strands. But like I said, I'm kind of doing an embroidery marathon right now. I embroidered all day today, and and on my own designs, I typically use 3 strands. So my body just made 3 strands right away. So I am using 3 strands on this kind of gold yellow, and I only use 2 strands on that. So the gold is a little fatter, a little chunkier, maybe a little less refined, maybe, I don't know. And then compared to the orange, but just barely. I mean, it's pretty subtle, I think. So anyway, so I probably will continue to do the gold with the 3 strands, and then this coral with the 2 strands. All right, we made it, and I think I do actually have enough to weave in the end, so I'm going to just kind of go back over here, grab the backs of some stitches. We need to do that 3 times to lock it in place. I'm just trying to grab as much as I can, because we're basically kind of making a knot here by grabbing as much. All right, and I think we got it. Ha-ha! All right, so I need to remember how long that thread was, because we're gonna need that exact same amount over and over again here. So cute, it's coming. So there's where we're at with this guy so far. I think that's gonna be awfully nice. Just that, you know, it's gonna have this orangey golden feel for the circle. I think that fits with my quilt. I think that's good. And then, you know, it's just kind of, I think this green will be a little sweet on the inside. And a little different that we didn't do the green for the leaves, that we have this little orangey thing going. I think it'll be cute. Cute, cute, cute. All right, so you guys, I'm going to show you. I brought this home because I'm going to work on more embroideries today, but let me show you my bin of fabric, or my bin of these guys, of these cones of floss. So again, this is what a skein is, and then this is the cone. Hold on a sec here. All right, so here is my container of cones. I have some ribbons in here too, but this is kind of all of the colors from my kits that I typically get. So I have, you know, just all sorts, and you know, look, I use so much of it. So like, these are 2 red cones and they're almost all gone. So I basically brought the smallest cones that I had from the office and got them to use up. Oh, see, so here's more of that coral. So this is like, there's only like this much left. This is how much comes with it. I don't know if you guys can see that. And this is how much I have left on this cone. It's kind of fun. So when we did the Isle of Home quilt, I only used that coral color. So that was just, it was just really neat to do that one stitching. And that's kind of a look too, when you just use all the same colors. This is a really fun bright blue. But yeah, so I'll just snaggle these out. This is a really pretty teal. But yeah, so when I'm doing embroidery, I'm doing the cones. Oh, here's a few more. See, I'm almost done with these cones too, which is crazy. It's a lot. So here's what a whole pile of cones look like. I'll show you from the side too. So what I was thinking is I would put together, you know, some of the colors that I think are cute, or if there's some like any colors that you're interested in. How much do the cones cost? So that's what I'm gonna have to figure out. They would probably be, they're probably in the $40 to $50 range, honestly, for a whole cone. So I would have to figure out some pricing, but it would probably be in that range. Here, I'm going to show you guys just from the angle. So there we go. There's some embroidery fun for you. But yeah, so I don't know. If you guys are interested, maybe I'll throw some of these together. And I know it is pretty pricey for a whole big thing. But yeah, so darker color. Oh, quotes on wall hanging. So I do have a few darker colors, like, you know, we have the purple and the black and the blue and the brown. So some of those would be cute. I don't know. So maybe I'll just kind of put together, it's kind of hard to see because my lighting is coming this way, so it's pretty shadowy. But maybe I'll throw a few sets that I think are pretty together. Or not, you know, not together, but like some colors that I think, you know, most people might like. And maybe we'll do a little thing. There are some smaller cones, so you can get, I think maybe even Joann's carries them, but they typically only come in the black, the white, and the red. And they're about, I don't know, they're maybe closer to like this. You know, where a full cone would be about this big. I think they do make some smaller ones like this. So I think if you go on Amazon or something, I think I've posted on Amazon too before some of these sort of smaller cones. This isn't a smaller cone. It just started. It's just used as a bigger cone used up. But I think it's more typically something that looks like that. But yeah, crazy floss shenanigans here. So anyway, maybe I'll throw something quick together, and if anyone's interested, when I place my order for more, because I'll have to order some more, I'll throw in a few extra cones for anyone that wants some. So anyway, but there are my cone babies. All right, I'm gonna flip you guys around, and we'll call it an evening here. Yeah, so thread does actually last a really long time, or like, you know, even a skein. So unless you're doing a ton of embroidery, it's just more fun than anything else. But, you know, a whole big giant cone in, you know, a cute color. But yeah, so anyway, who knows? Maybe you guys want something like that. So I can, like I said, I'm going to probably have to place an order myself for some more. So I'll open it up to you guys as well. So I'll probably put a newsletter together for it. And if anyone wants a big honking cone, you can let me know. Oh, with the red. So yep, my red is just about gone. See, so I'm gonna need to get some more red. I think I have like 1 or 2 more of these, but yep, that's getting low, and a few other of my things are getting low. So I'm gonna do an inventory again soon, and I will be placing an order, and I'll throw a newsletter out before then. If you guys wanted any as well, I'll just add them to my order. So awesome! Thanks for letting me share my crazy cone family here. Oh, you hate the mess that the little skeins make. I'm with you. Yeah, I always, when I can, I work from my cones just because I think it's fun. And I have stacks and stacks of these empty cones too. So really, if anyone wants any cones, any empty cones for some craft project, let me know. But all right, you guys, I will get this up on YouTube at Penguin and Fish Movies tonight. And I'll be here again tomorrow. Oh, I'm not going to be here Thursday and probably not Friday either. So we're going to have some family in town. So tomorrow is probably it for this week. So more embroidery tomorrow. And then maybe I will break out the steampunk Kenmore machine. I think that'd be a lot of fun, actually. So we'll do that too. So awesome. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great evening. Good night.